Welcome to Monetize Your Passion, the podcast for moms looking to make money from their passions while making a positive impact in the lives of others. I'm Tara, content strategist and certified life coach. I want to help you leverage the power of content creation, organic marketing, and goal setting so you can turn your God-led passion and purpose into profit. My prayer is that you'll find inspiration from God, encouragement, and practical ways to monetize your passion. Hello and welcome to the show. So in this episode, I'm going to share a snippet of a coaching session that I did several months ago with Olivia Diaz. She is an educator and she is a coach for single Christian women. And on this episode, we really honed in on her content pillars, her niche, and just getting things set up because she is wanting to launch a podcast. So although this episode is talking about launching a podcast, it's really important to make sure you're set up structurally before you actually launch, whether that's a podcast, a blog, whatever. You want to make sure you have the foundation set up first. So hopefully this episode will give you some insight into your own strategy, and I think it will. So let's get into it. So Olivia, why don't you just tell us what you do specifically?
Yeah, so I am a life coach and I help women who unfortunately want to respect themselves. They want to honor themselves, but somehow keep dating Mr. Uncommitted.
So you're also a teacher though, right?
I'm also an educator. I've been an educator for over 25 years.
What do you teach?
Yes. So I am no longer a classroom teacher, but I am a school support. So I still am considered a teacher, but I don't have my own classroom. But I get to work on the behind the scenes, if you will. So I help create intervention programs for our students. I find the students who require the intervention. I run the parent councils that are by federal law. I have to have those. So I do like school site council and advisory councils for English learners. I help with the budget. I create the budget for our school plan with the support of other people. And I just get to assist families in so many different capacities and help the school.
I feel like that goes hand in hand with your coaching and your gift of coaching and helping and being a support. Yeah, it's like a natural fit for you.
Thank you. And it actually came about when I decided I wanted to be a coach was, of course, after I just did a lot of realization in my life and I did a lot of changes. And I actually hired a coach to help me actually resolve issues that I had, cognitive issues, because I had a concussion and I was having a really hard time just being able to focus on everyday duties. And I thought a life coach for sure is going to help me organize my thoughts. And it was so not what I thought. It ended up being that the true problem of my heart was, having had abandonment issues growing up. And that just opened up this whole world inside of me that needed healing. And then so I made the connection between what I had lived through and was going through, even in my 40s, Tara, even in my 40s, with what I saw in my students. And so a lot of students that have like behavior issues or just issues of not being able to, just have a normal childhood had a lot to do with them feeling abandonment issues as well. And then so that opened up my heart. And I thought, I felt so much healing through that coaching journey. I know there are so many more women just like me. And because we're not aware of these issues, and that was me in the past, we keep dating these uncommitted men. And then and then a lot of women have children with uncommitted men, and then it perpetuates the cycle. And then so now in schools and everywhere in society, we're dealing with children that are hurt. And we know what we say about, hurt people, hurt others.
Right.
And so then I decided I want to be a life coach and I want to help others like me. And so I found that I had that connection with the children when they were sitting in my office and, we had to go over their behavior and how to make it right. I was able to apply some of the tools that I had been taught as a coachee through my coach. And I was able to dig deeper, and really, truly, it had a lot to do with children not feeling loved by a parent, both parents, possibly one parent was not in the picture. And so it's just kind of like a daily thing that we think about.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, maybe if I help women see their true value before they get stuck in these uncommitted relationships, or maybe help them break the cycle, it will eventually make them feel safer.
Now, are you finding that the mothers at the school are single moms and they have
Yes,
an abandonment issue? Are you're finding that?
yes, I am. And if not all, they are single moms, and just seeing it everywhere around me too. Like it's everywhere, and women I think women forget that they are in control of who they can choose to date.
Mhm.
But our emotions, our feelings just kind of take over, and that desire to want to be loved and seen more than anything by somebody, I think really clouds the judgment.
Right. So you're a coach, you're a certified life coach, and your
Mhm.
target is single women. Is it single women, all single women, or is it single moms? Is it their age group with the women that you're targeting? Have you thought that through yet?
So my heart is open to all single women, mostly because I remember feeling how I felt that when I was 19, as early as 19. And my heart also goes for the women that are in their 40s, that are in childbearing years, because it's going to affect generations to come if we're not able to have them see their value and live out their value.
Yeah. So sometimes, just for the purposes of the podcast, because you're starting a podcast,
Hmm.
sometimes the message that you say on your show resonates with a particular segment, like either a
Hmm.
younger, like mid or older. So you just have to keep that in mind. Like if you're
Okay.
targeting all single women, like a 19-year-old message may be different from like a 40-year-old woman who has a different experience. So you just want to take that in mind, because you're going to want to be very specific on your show episodes, because if someone's looking for your podcast, most likely it's going to resonate different with an 18-year-old single woman versus like maybe a 50-year-old single
Okay.
woman.
Okay. So then I'm gonna have to narrow it down to women in their 30s and 40s.
And something may spill over. You still may get the ones that are not within your target. But if you
Okay.
have a specific target, then it's easier to make your message clearer on each episode.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So because, when someone comes to your podcast, you want them to subscribe and you want them to know what they're going to get when they come. So
O-
that's just, yeah, something to keep in mind. So single women, and then your podcast niche, you said, is relationships, targeting single women who want a serious and committed relationship, but are dating uncommitted men. Okay. Now, when they come to your show, what do you think someone who is a single woman, and let's say she needs a podcast that's going to help her, like what do you think some things are that she's going to search for, like in the podcast search bar? Like what do you think? If you just
Hmm.
had to, we're just like guessing right now.
Hmm. So she would probably search for maybe, why do I keep choosing the wrong man, or um, dating, um, positive relationships, strong relationships. Um, because I don't think they understand the cycle that they're in right now. They just know they want to be happy, maybe find happy
Yeah.
relationships, find
Hmm.
loving relationships.
Now, do you think these women who are dating the wrong men, are they looking to validate their choice, or are they really looking to help themselves? Like, what do you think is going on in their mind?
Hmm. I think they're looking to be rescued.
So they might be looking for a podcast.
Hmm.
Maybe it's going to validate some of the messiness that they're in, but maybe they're going to get something else. Do you think?
Yeah, so I think that they don't realize that they're looking for someone to help them feel happy. So what my goal in doing the podcast would be to um, encourage women, right, to find their stronger self, and start seeking relationships from that, instead of the desperation that they're in, because I feel that these women are suffering. They're desperate, trying to find the right person, but unless they find the strength in themselves and honor themselves, then they can start to look at relationships from a different lens.
Yeah. No, that sounds great. I'm just trying to get into the mindset of a single woman.
Yes.
And let's say I listen to podcasts on a regular basis because I'm trying to find a
Mm-hmm.
man. Let's say I'm trying to find a man. Like, what kind of podcast am I going to be searching for? That's what I'm thinking.
Relationships.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
relationships and dating and things of
Mm-hmm.
okay. So, and this goes into like picking your podcast keywords
Okay.
because you want to have keywords where if someone's trying to find something specific as it relates to dating as a single woman, you want them to land on your podcast.
Yes.
So you want to make sure you have the right words where people are going to get to your show and find you.
Okay.
Have you seen any or do you listen to podcasts, Olivia? Have you seen any single women podcasts out there right now?
I haven't been searching a lot of that right now. What
Yeah.
I what I have been searching, I do a lot of psychology. I like to do a lot of the psychology and the self-healing and things like that. You know, um, but I haven't. Besides relationships and dating, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, and that's fine because even if there's not a lot out there, there's a need for it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
yes,
need it. So the message that you want to get out there, like I think it's so relevant, it's profound. So they need someone like you that's going to help them. We just want to make sure that they're going to find you
okay,
because sometimes like you can have the best podcast ever, but if you don't have the right keywords and the right focus, it's hard for people to find you.
okay, okay,
So that might be even something that you can think about and pray about, more are making sure that you have the right keywords.
okay, yes.
So, I mean, there are different software tools even that you can look for keywords because this is all part of SEO. Have you heard of search engine optimization?
I heard. I know you had a podcast on that.
Yeah. So, whatever you do, whether it's in your podcast titles, your podcast name, your tagline, you want to make sure it's optimized for the search engine. So,
Okay,
basically, what that means is if you type into Google or the podcast app and someone types in some keywords, you want to be found because there's millions of other people who might have that same keyword, but the key is having a unique keyword that people are searching for, but that's not going to be saturated within the market.
got
So
it.
after we end, I'm going to send you some software tools where you can do some searches for free, just to kind
Nice.
of get an idea, because you can get an idea of how many people are searching for a particular keyword. There's some keywords like unstuck or relationships where it gets like hundreds of thousands of hits per month,
Okay,
which is a good thing because that means that people are searching for a solution and hopefully they're going to get to you to get that answer. But you just want to make sure you have the right keywords for you and where you are in your business.
okay.
And so your concept, tell me what your tagline is. I read it, but I just want to hear it.
Yes. Okay. It's heal your heart, unleash your worth, commit to love.
And I love those. Again, with the tagline, there should be keywords in your tagline. So for
Okay.
each one of those, are those things that your target person will search for?
Um, I think me coming from this perspective, this is what I know I want to
Yeah.
happen.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
and thinking with you and knowing that a lot of women don't realize they have this issue, I think that I need to maybe just simplify it, like unleash your worth, commit to love. And I think maybe like as a byproduct, then they're going to heal their hearts.
Yeah. I think the byproduct will be they're going to heal their hearts. Yeah. Now they might search for how do I heal my heart? Like that might be something that they search for.
Okay.
I don't know if they're going to search for how do I unleash my worth, but that doesn't mean that it can't be somewhere in your verbiage.
Okay.
But the point for a podcast tagline, because I know you don't have your title yet, the tagline should be very specific. Like I help single moms heal their hearts while committing to love, something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have your title, and then underneath is going to be the tagline, and that's going to tell your audience exactly what you're going to give them. You're going to tell them how you're going to help them in that tagline.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah, it has to be very specific.
Okay. I love that, Terlon. I help single moms heal their hearts while committing to love.
And you might even, mull it over even more and pray
Yeah.
about it. And, something even more specific might come to mind.
Okay.
But you just want to make sure when someone says, "Oh, what is your podcast about?" It could even be your tagline. I help single moms heal their heart while committing to love, or, or whatever it is.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Now, do you have any titles in mind that you've been thinking about?
I have. I have. So for me, like or titles for episodes or titles for my show for
For
the
your
podcast?
show?
No, not yet. I kind
Okay.
of thought I had two different episodes or different topics that I could talk about, but I don't have a podcast yet.
Okay.
Podcast. Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm just throwing this out there, Olivia. Have you
Yeah.
thought about targeting single moms instead of single women? I'm just throwing it out there. Just because the more narrowly focused you can be, I think the more success you can have in getting the right people to your podcast. It's
Mm-hmm.
just a question. I mean, it may be all single women, which, maybe that's what it is. It was just a thought that came to mind.
Mm-hmm. I haven't, only because I haven't been in that situation.
Yes. Okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But I was a single woman dating.
Yes. Yes. I hear what you're saying. Yeah. Because you've had the lived experience of being a single woman dating, and because of the abandonment
Yes.
issues, some of the mistakes you made.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. But it can still relate to, single moms, of course.
Yes.
Now, have you thought about some of the episodes that you'll do? Like,
I
what are they
have.
focus on?
Yes.
Like, give me some titles that you've been thinking about.
Yeah. So one of them is like, nice to meet me, where, I think it's really important for a woman to understand how they are, their personality traits, right? I mean, there are generalizations, but they're very important because it's how women see the world and how they see uh, the other person interacting with them, through that lens. And then also, getting to know their love language. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's really important to understand the love language. And then another episode can be, being able to just name their feelings, have a whole episode on feelings and the ranges of feelings that we have.
Yeah.
Because I think it's really important to be able to identify and be honest with how a person is making us feel at a moment. And then, what actions are we taking based on those feelings? So it would be a lot of things like that, and also understanding the operating system, like our subconsciousness, how our subconsciousness drives our everyday actions. And if we're not aware of what's happening, then we just keep going on autopilot and keep repeating the same patterns.
Yeah. No, those are great. I would say, like, for the podcast, it's good to pick 3 specific themes that you're going to focus on for your show. So 3 specific themes. So for example, let's say one of your themes is focusing on helping women heal from their past. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the themes. So that means for that one theme, you can have a podcast episode based on that theme. And then you're going to have 2 other themes. So let's say you have these
Mm-hmm.
3 main themes. You're
Yes.
always going to have content based on just those 3 themes, because that's how you're going to keep your target audience. Like, if you start deviating and start talking about 10, 20 different themes, like, you can lose your audience.
Mm-hmm.
They want to know that when they come to your show, it's going to be based on some sort of theme that they've already heard from you before.
Okay.
So what are some themes that you think might resonate with your audience, like, based on how you want to help them?
Okay. So
Like, what
one of
comes to your mind?
Yes. So, I mean, most definitely, like you said, healing, Healing
Like
from
healing from their past.
healing from their past.
Uh-huh.
Um, I think
Like, do you want to focus on abandonment, or is that just like one component of the past?
so. I think abandonment is important, but that has to do with the healing process. But
Mm-hmm.
also like understanding why we make decisions. So it could be also like building self-worth, like empowerment.
Building. Oh, building self-worth. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that will be a theme, building self-worth.
That would be a theme. So the
Mhm.
first one would be healing. The second one would be building self-worth.
Uh-huh.
And then the third one would be um I would want to do something with um wellness,
Wellness.
and with wellness, and that includes, the way that you take care of your body. Because the way that we respect ourselves is really kind of like a springboard of how we want others to treat us. So the wellness, it has to do with, because sleep, you don't get enough sleep, it can affect you for the next day. Just eating right, the connection between our gut and our brain and our emotions.
Mhm.
So I would focus on wellness and how taking care of your body really is just as important as it is in relationships.
Okay. And then let me just read your tagline. The original tagline you had was heal your heart, unleash your worth, and commit to love. Did you want to get in? Was any of that important to get into any of these themes here? Or maybe those are byproducts of the themes and those could be specific episodes?
I think I think those are byproducts.
Okay. All right. So if these are your three themes, healing, building self-worth, and wellness that can encompass mental, physical, emotional. Can it encompass all of that?
I think it can, and I think it's all important for the healing too.
Yeah.
Like I think it all just kind of goes together.
Yeah. And are you going to focus on Christian women or just all women?
I think right now I want to focus on all women.
On all women.
Hmm.
Okay.
I think but that's the hardest point, Terralon, for me, because I feel that I think I need to focus on Christian women, honestly, because I feel that we have that added component that we just complicate things
Mhm.
sometimes,
Yeah.
and having been a Christian for so long, I know like I'm always doubting. It's like, is this the right thing? But I feel that um, really, truly, when you embrace Christ, it's the biggest transformation. But there's also steps that we have to go through to allow ourselves to believe.
Hmm. Yeah. And you may focus on Christian women, but you may get women who are not Christians coming to your show. And maybe
Hmm.
they're going to still somehow get the healing that they need by listening to your show. But by you focusing on the Christian women, because ultimately you know how they're going to get healed, I feel like that's a better approach also to have that be the focus. But of
Yes.
course, anyone can listen, but that's
Yes.
your focus because even when you're talking about wellness and taking care of ourselves mentally, physically, I mean, spiritually,
Yes.
all a part of that and getting that healing.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So maybe you're,
You're absolutely right, Terlan, because like what I keep thinking about are all of the ways that I have to focus on God's promise every single day as soon as I wake up. Right? This is what I
Mhm.
know for sure, that Jesus loves me and he died for me and I am worthy.
Yeah.
And that day in and day out is a reminder of, even when I'm at work and I make mistakes or things don't have, it's like, I know that Jesus believes I'm worthy. I know that, and that kind of helps ground me. And I
Hmm.
think that unless we really focus on that, I mean, that's just a big component, I think, to my identity and who I've become.
Yeah. See, I think as we talk about this, and when you talk about like your themes and everything, it helps you to bring your niche into focus a little bit better too.
I see it happening.
Yeah. So if we go back to your tagline, you might say something like, I help Christian or single Christian women heal from the past, build their self-worth, and bring wellness or something along. That's like the bad version. But
Uh-huh.
somehow you want to incorporate the three themes that
Okay.
you chose. And again, you might even refine the themes a little bit more. But I always say, you pick what you want to do and you pray about it. Like God will
Okay.
show you how to refine that even more. So now that you have your three themes, this is what we're working with. But again, you can always refine that more. Let's say one of your themes is healing from your past. So that means on your podcast, like all of your shows are going to be related to these three themes, like healing from the past. Maybe one of the episode can be you have a single person on the show and maybe she's giving her testimony on how she healed from her abandonment issues. And during the healing process, she met the man of her life or something like that. You know what I mean? So they're all going to be related to these three things. So now you have your content. You know what your content is based off of.
Mm-hmm. I'm writing stuff down.
Oh, no, good. And I'm recording this too, Olivia. I'll give this to you.
Okay.
So you can keep this.
Oh, great. Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now, go ahead, Olivia.
No, ask your question again, please.
Oh, I was going to move on to the format and structure, but did you have any questions about the theme?
No. No, I think that these three are things that I have thought about, and I kind of put some of these things in my Instagram, like when I post and stuff.
Yeah.
And yes, I will continue to pray for them and just see how it refines, or I can refine it.
Yeah. Now, do you have any specific story about your journey that you're going to share? Because that should be one of the episodes, at least that probably should be the first episode, like talking about how you were able to heal from your past and build your self-worth and how you use wellness to help you. Like that probably should be your first episode so people can get to know you and they see who you are and how you can help them.
Yeah, my first episode, I was thinking about it today, and my first episode really truly I would like to share what happened to me once I didn't find my person at that moment, but it was like a single thought that helped point me in the right direction, which is, I recognized what I didn't want in my life for me. And then I thought about, well, if this isn't what I want, what do I want? And so it started with getting to know my value, and that started changing the trajectory of the direction that I started to go in, which led me to my husband. Yes. And then what eventually led, to the marriage and the stronger marriage. It's going to be 20 years this year that we've been married is I know what I don't want. I know what I want, and I know what I deserve. And even, just things like that. And again, it's building your worth, seeing your worth and your value. Right. And then so that's why I believe all of these things are so important. But yes, that would be my first episode.
Yeah. And then also, we'll get to it. Like you're going to have like an intro on the show. You've listened to podcasts and someone gives you like a minute or 2-minute introduction to who they are.
Yes.
Like part of your journey and your past will be in your intro.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you have any other questions regarding themes before we talk about format and structure?
No.
Okay. So I believe you mentioned on average your episode length will be 20 minutes.
Yes. 20 to 30 minutes. I would probably do 30 or 30. Yeah.
So if you have a guest, probably 30, right? Or is that what you would think? Okay.
Yes.
And then you're going to record weekly, which I think is great because the more you record, the more actually your podcast gets out there and it gets shown.
Oh.
And also the people who are listening to your podcast, like they want to make sure they know when you're going to air your podcast. They're going to come to you on a weekly basis. Like they know Olivia posts every Wednesday at 8 a.m. and they know they can expect you.
Okay.
Do you know what day of the week? Did you figure that out?
No, I haven't. Not yet.
Okay. Have you thought about when you'll actually air, when the podcast will launch?
I think that I have to really start working on this now. I go back to work in August, early August. So that always complicates things.
Well, when I was working a full-time corporate job, I
Uh,
started a podcast,
yeah.
and you can do it. You can, but I think if you get it off the ground and you have batch recorded several episodes in the summer, like you
Mm-hmm.
give yourself some breathing room. So you're not always
Oh,
thinking
that's great.
to air it every week.
Oh,
So
that's so
yeah. So you record as many as you can in the summer
okay. I know I would probably do it like on a Monday.
on Mondays.
Yes.
That's when I do mine. So Mondays, yeah. So we'll expect a new podcast episode from you every Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what about the launch date? Have you thought about that at all? Like when it'll start?
No, no. Let me
So
think.
let's just
Yeah,
say we're July. Could you get this off the ground in 6 weeks?
I think I could.
Okay. So I know you listen to my podcast. You know that I'm big on goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is where you're going to have to implement the goals. Like, so your main goal is going to be to launch the podcast. So now for the month and for every week, you're going to have to write out the steps that you need to take before you launch that podcast.
Okay.
And you're going to have more time in the summer, thankfully, to be able to work on it. Because it's going to be a lot of work, putting everything together. Like you have to think about, like, if you want a loud launch where you're telling everybody, oh, I just launched a podcast, you have a launch party or however you do it, or a quiet launch where you launch it and say, oh, by the way, everyone, I have this podcast now.
Oh, okay.
Have you thought about that?
I would just probably post it on my Facebook and my Instagram after I do my first one.
Yeah. So like a quiet launch.
Okay, so that's what it is. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because some people, they build up to it like 3 weeks before. Okay, get ready for my podcast. 2 weeks before. It's 2 weeks before my podcast. You know what I mean? But you
Mm-hmm.
can do it. You can do it however you want to.
Okay, let me think about that because this is new. I love it.
Okay. And so there's different platforms that will host your podcast. I use a platform called Buzzsprout. Have you done any research as far as podcast hosts?
No.
Okay. So Buzzsprout and Podbean are two of the main ones that I'm seeing out there. I used to be on another platform because I started my podcast 5 years ago, but I just transitioned over to Buzzsprout. And I had considered Podbean also because a lot of podcast hosts recommend them.
Mm-hmm.
But I just found that the customer service for Buzzsprout was so phenomenal, helping me transition my podcast over. They just made it so easy for me because I had a complicated setup because it was filtering through my blog. And I just think they're awesome, Buzzsprout. So that's who I would recommend.
Okay.
But again, you could use Podbean as well or another platform, but I would recommend Buzzsprout. It's
Okay.
very easy. Yeah. And I can send you information on them.
Sure. Yes.
So basically they host your podcast. So if someone goes to well, you don't have a title yet,
Mm-hmm.
www.olivia.com, for example,
Mm-hmm.
/podcast,
Mm-hmm.
Buzzsprout can host your site and people can go to that website and listen to your podcast. They also help you to get it out to like Apple, Google. I don't know if Google's still around, but just all the other platforms where you can actually listen to your podcasts. They can help
Okay.
you set that all up. Do you have any questions so far?
No, Terrellon, this is really informative. And really truly like your questions last night. I was really just wow.
I think the hardest part is finding your niche and your target audience.
Yeah.
I think people come in with an idea, like even me, I've had to refine things over the years. And
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it's not easy because you want to help everybody.
Right.
But when you're trying to help everybody, you're not helping the people that you need to help. Because if you're so broad with it, it's hard to actually keep the audience that you want because you're trying to be all things to all people.
Okay.
So it's good
Mm-hmm.
that you're narrowing it down even more. It's going to help
Yeah.
you, like, even with your content and
Yeah,
knowing.
I can see that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can see that already. Thank you.
Okay. So also you do need cover art for your podcast.
Okay.
And do you know what that is? Like when you go and you look for podcasts, like you see someone may have a picture of themselves on the podcast. Like you want to
Yes.
make sure that looks professional.
Okay.
I mean, ideally you can hire someone to do it for you, but I mean, you can do a nice one in Canva as well, just as long as it's professional.
Yes, I'm actually I want to get some professional headshots done. Professional
Yes. Mhm.
done. Yes.
And then you can look at some of the podcasts in Apple, like especially some of the top podcasts, and just kind of get some ideas of what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now, you do have to pay for the podcast host.
Okay.
I believe they do have a free version, but I would use the paid version because on the free version, I think it's limited as far as how much of the recording you can keep. And I know you're using this for your business, like you want to make sure
Yeah.
you have all your episodes. So I would go with the next level, which
Okay. Okay.
I think it's $8 a month, if I'm not mistaken. Something along
Okay.
those lines. It's very reasonable.
Okay. Perfect.
And then Olivia, I'm going to give you I have a podcast checklist. I'm going to email that over to you. Okay.
Okay.
So let's see. So we're going to say 6 weeks. Now, do you write out your goals right now? Like, how do you keep track of your goals just for yourself?
So my goal right now is just
Do you have
to
a
try to
planner or a calendar or something where you write out goals?
no, not yet. Cause like I want it, I'm in my mind, I'm always changing. I think because I'm so worried about not getting it right.
Mm-hmm.
But even this doing the three themes, this will help me because I can put out if I'm thinking about like my Instagram, right, which is where I do my marketing. I can pick a day for each theme where I can post something, and then this could be part of my content. But I can calendar it, so like I can do like on Mondays it would be post on healing, and then on Wednesdays it could be understanding self-worth, and then on Friday it could be on wellness.
Yeah. And you're going to find that, I mean, Instagram's great, but they only show your content to like what, 5% of your audience. So
Mm-hmm.
most people are not going to see your information, especially if you're trying to get them off the platform by saying, "Oh, I have a podcast." Instagram doesn't like that you're trying to get people off of their platform. So they'll probably show your content to even less people.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So you're going to find that the podcast is going to be your main marketing tool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But as far as goals, I just want to make sure because your 6 week goal is to launch your podcast. I just want to make sure you have something, whether it's a journal or notebook, where you're actually writing out your goals and you can see them.
Yes,
There's
I
something
do.
about, yeah, there's something about writing it out and making
Correct.
it specific with it, and you have a time frame
Mm-hmm.
on how
So
you're going to
it's my
accomplish.
notebook. I write a lot in my notebooks. I
Okay.
do. Yeah, my notebooks. But I have a calendar. I'll just calendar my little steps, each step to get me closer to my launch on my calendar.
Okay. So this is a lot for you to think about. Do you have any
Mhm.
questions?
Um, I think that the hardest part is probably just committing to the content and committing to the 6 weeks launch.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I imagine that, I'm going to have to figure out the frames of it, the communication piece of the podcast, but I'm going to give myself grace with that just so that I can get started and then refine as I go.
So that was just a little snippet of a coaching session that I had. We only had an hour, so there was a lot to pack in an hour, but you get the gist. It's important to set up your foundation before you get on your platform, narrowing down your niche, and also identifying your target audience really helps you to get your content strategy in order. So if you need help with building your platform and finding the right content strategy for your brand, then feel free to book a one-on-one coaching call with me. There'll be an application in the show notes. Let's see if we're a good fit for working together. All right, I hope this episode blessed you. If it did, would you do me a favor and share it with another mom who could also use this? As you know, my platform is meant to be a blessing to mothers, so any support from you would be so appreciated. Until next time.